Google's controlling something most people don't even realize exists yet, and it might be the most valuable AI asset on the planet. While the world watched OpenAI's ChatGPT shake the internet, Alphabet was quietly building an entirely different kind of advantage. It's not just about the models they've released publicly. It's about the invisible infrastructure underneath, the data pipelines, the specialized chips, the training systems that let Google iterate faster than anyone else in the world. Think of it like this. If AI companies are racing to build the best car, Google's not just building a better engine. They're the ones who own the factory, the steel mill, and the road itself. That advantage is now mattering more than ever because the competition's getting fiercer, the stakes are higher, and building cutting-edge AI at scale isn't something you can just buy your way into anymore. You need something deeper, an industrial moat that competitors can't easily replicate. And here's what the headlines aren't telling you: that moat might be Google's greatest weapon yet. Google didn't become the world's search giant by accident. They've spent more than 2 decades building the kind of infrastructure that most companies can't even imagine. Back in the early 2000s, while everyone else was buying servers from vendors, Google was designing their own. They built data centers on an unprecedented scale. They created custom chips optimized for their workloads. They invested billions in fiber optic cables, cooling systems, and redundant infrastructure spread across continents. This wasn't cheap, it wasn't fast, but it was thorough. By 2016, when DeepMind created AlphaGo and shocked the world by beating the best human Go players, people thought the breakthrough was the algorithm. The real breakthrough was that Google had the infrastructure to train it. You need thousands of specialized processors, petabytes of data, and systems sophisticated enough to manage it all simultaneously. That's not something you build in a year. It takes decades. And here's what most people miss. Every AI researcher who joined Google inherited this massive foundation. They didn't have to solve infrastructure problems. They could focus entirely on making better models, faster training, smarter algorithms. While OpenAI built ChatGPT, Google's researchers had access to something OpenAI and Anthropic are still trying to build from scratch. So what exactly is Alphabet leveraging? Start with TPUs, that's tensor processing units. These aren't general-purpose processors. They're specialized silicon built explicitly for training and running neural networks. While NVIDIA's GPUs can do lots of things, TPUs are laser-focused on one job, making AI models work faster and cheaper. Google's been designing these chips for over a decade, constantly improving them. Each generation is tailored to the specific problems their engineers face. That's a huge advantage. Then there's Gemini, Google's large language model that can handle text, images, audio, and video all in one system. Think of it like this. If ChatGPT is a smartphone that's really good at typing, Gemini is trying to be a Swiss Army knife that handles everything. But here's the secret sauce. Gemini doesn't just exist in isolation. It's being trained on an incomparable data set. YouTube alone has centuries of footage. Gmail has billions of emails. Google Search has captured queries from the entire world for decades. No other company has access to that much real-world data. Competitors like OpenAI have to license data sets or scrape the internet. Google's data isn't borrowed. It's built into their own products. That means their AI models see patterns and concepts that competitors literally can't see. And that's before we even talk about computing power. Google can train models in weeks that might take a competitor months. This isn't theoretical. You can see Alphabet's advantage in real products right now. Gemini, integrated into Android phones, can handle tasks that rival ChatGPT: text generation, image understanding, reasoning through complex problems, all running right on device without uploading anything to the cloud. That's a massive competitive edge. Google's search results keep getting smarter. Companies been testing AI-powered search features that actually understand what you're looking for, not just keyword matching. Type in a vague question and Google figures out your intent. Then there's YouTube. The recommendation engine uses machine learning models trained on more video data than any other company in existence has access to. It learns from 500 hours of video uploaded every single minute. OpenAI doesn't have that scale. Microsoft doesn't have it. Nobody does. Google Cloud is actively selling AI infrastructure to enterprises. TPU, access, managed training services, hosted Gemini models. Companies that want to build their own AI applications now pay Google to use Google's infrastructure. That creates a powerful loop. More customers using it, more data flowing through, better models, more customers. DeepMind, Alphabet's research lab, keeps publishing breakthrough after breakthrough. AlphaFold solved protein folding. AlphaGo beat the world's best Go players. Those aren't just impressive demonstrations. They are proof that Alphabet's got both the talent and resources to solve problems that other labs are just beginning to tackle. So how does Alphabet compare to the competition? OpenAI leads in public perception. ChatGPT has over 200 million weekly users. But ChatGPT runs on Microsoft Azure. OpenAI doesn't own the servers. They're renting computing power. Anthropic, the other major player, is raising billions for research. Google actually invested in Anthropic themselves, a telling relationship. But Anthropic still depends on renting GPUs. Alphabet owns every layer. They design the chips. They own the data centers. They train the models. When Microsoft partnered with OpenAI, they solved a problem: how do we scale? But they also created a dependency. OpenAI's tethered to Azure. If compute gets limited, if Azure's roadmap changes, if Microsoft's strategy changes, OpenAI's in a tight spot. Anthropic faces the same issue: great technology, but someone else controls the infrastructure. Google doesn't have that vulnerability. They iterate without asking permission. They experiment without hitting infrastructure limits. They train larger models because they own the compute. And unlike competitors, Google's not betting everything on one product. Search still generates over $100 billion yearly. YouTube is another engine. Cloud services, hardware. That's what no other AI company has: time. They can afford patience, while competitors are pressured to monetize immediately. What does this mean? If Alphabet's industrial moat is this strong, the AI race might not be as competitive as headlines suggest. The gap between Google and the rest could actually be widening, not narrowing. This creates a few implications. First, startups in AI face a fundamental challenge. They can build better algorithms, but if Google can scale algorithms to 10 times the size with superior infrastructure, the startup's algorithm advantage disappears. Most venture-funded AI companies will end up acquired or acquired adjacent. They'll be bought by Alphabet, Microsoft, Meta, or other big tech companies. Pure AI competition at scale is likely over. Second, open-source models like Llama might matter more than people think. If proprietary models from big tech companies are becoming harder to catch, the open-source community building freely available models could become the actual center of innovation. Third, regulation and geopolitics start mattering enormously. If Alphabet's AI advantage is built on infrastructure, chips, data centers, compute, then restricting their ability to export chips becomes a competitive weapon. That's why countries are eyeing semiconductor restrictions. That's why everyone wants their own domestic AI capability. Finally, for everyday users, this might mean consolidation. Fewer independent AI companies means fewer choices. More reliance on Google's products and Google's ecosystem. It's concerning if you value open competition. How does this play out in practice? Here's what to actually watch. First, watch DeepMind announcements. Every new Alpha X announcement, AlphaFold, AlphaGo, Alpha X whatever they call the next one, that's Google proving they can solve problems others can't. Second, watch Gemini's capabilities grow. Each Gemini update will likely add something new: longer context windows, better reasoning, multimodal improvements. These updates happen faster for Google than competitors because they have dedicated infrastructure supporting rapid experimentation. Third, watch Google Cloud's customer wins. If enterprises are migrating to Google Cloud specifically for AI services, that's data flowing into Google's infrastructure. More data means better training, means even better models. It's a virtuous cycle. Fourth, pay attention to GPU and TPU availability. If Google's TPUs become the default for enterprise AI applications, they've won another lock-in point. Fifth, watch YouTube integration. Google will keep pushing Gemini deeper into YouTube, search, recommendations, creation tools. YouTube has 2 billion logged-in users monthly. If Gemini becomes central to how people interact with YouTube, that's influence at scale. Sixth, watch for chip exports. If governments restrict chip exports or chip manufacturing, Alphabet's advantage becomes even more defensible because they design their own silicon. Finally, watch what Alphabet doesn't do. If they stay focused on foundational AI rather than chasing every chatbot trend, they'll likely maintain their edge. Most companies chase the market. Alphabet can ignore the market and build the infrastructure instead. So here's what this all means for you. Alphabet's positioning itself to win the long-term AI race, not through hype or flashy products, but through foundational infrastructure that competitors can't easily replicate. They're playing a different game than OpenAI or Anthropic. They're playing the game they've been winning for 20 years, owning the platform that everyone else depends on. The parallels to how they dominated search are pretty obvious. Google didn't dominate search because Google Search was just a little bit better than Alta Vista or Yahoo. Google dominated because they owned the infrastructure, the data, and they could iterate faster than anyone else. They could afford to experiment with ideas that took years to pay off. Now they're applying the same playbook to AI. That doesn't mean Alphabet has already won forever. OpenAI could partner with governments or military institutions. Anthropic could break through with safety techniques that become industry standard. Microsoft could leverage their enterprise relationship. But the structural advantages Alphabet's built are significant. They are worth understanding because they shape what the AI ecosystem looks like over the next decade. If you're building products, investing in AI companies, or just trying to understand where technology's headed, pay attention to Alphabet's infrastructure strategy. Not just their product launches. The platforms that own the foundation win in the end, and Alphabet's foundation is getting stronger every day. That's the real story to watch.